All right, let's talk about AI. If you've ever felt like you're drowning in a sea of jargon whenever people start talking about large language models or LLMs, then you've come to the right place. We're going to break it all down. Let's get into it.
You've probably heard this one, right? It sounds tricky, but it really gets to the core of how all this stuff works. See, one is an instruction we give the AI, and the other is a tiny little building block inside inside its brain. By the time we're done here, you'll know exactly which is which, and a whole lot more. So, to make sense of it all, we're going to walk through what I like to call the LM lifecycle journey. We're going to cover it in 5 key stages. First, we'll look under the hood at the engine itself. Then, we'll figure out how to talk to it, how to teach it new things, how to actually run it in the real world, and finally, and this is a big one, how we try to make it safe. All right, first stop, the engine of AI. I mean, before we can talk about driving this thing, we got to know what's under the hood, right? What is it actually made of? Okay, so at the very heart of it, a large language model is just a giant neural network. The two things you gotta remember are its crazy scale and its one main job. When I say scale, we're talking about billions of tiny little knobs or dials inside its brain, and those are the parameters we were just talking about. And its whole purpose? To understand and create language that sounds like a human wrote it. But here's a wild thought. These models don't actually see words the way we do. They see something called tokens. So a simple sentence like, I love AI might be 3 tokens. I, love, and AI. Easy enough. But a longer word like tokenization might get chopped up into 2 or 3 different tokens. It's the absolute basic unit of how the model thinks. Now, just like us, these models have a kind of short-term memory. It's called the context window. It's the maximum number of tokens the model can pay attention to at any single moment. So if your conversation gets super long and goes past that limit, the model literally starts forgetting the beginning of the chat. That's why the size of that window is such a big deal. So what's the magic that makes all this work? It's an incredible piece of engineering called the transformer. And its superpower is something called self-attention. It lets the model look at a whole sentence at once and figure out which words are the most important for understanding the meaning of every other word. It's the breakthrough that really kicked off the modern AI revolution. Okay, so we've seen what the engine is made of. Now for part 2, the art of conversation. How do we actually, steer this thing? And that's where the prompt comes into play. A prompt is just your instruction, right? But getting it to do what you really want, well, that's an art and a science called prompt engineering. You have to learn that it's less like ordering a computer around and more like trying to have a very precise conversation with a super smart partner who takes everything you say literally. And here's a perfect example of that in action, a cool trick called chain of thought prompting. So let's say you have a tricky math problem. Instead of just asking for the answer, you add this kind of magic phrase, think step by step. This little instruction forces the model to show its work, to lay out its logic, and it makes it way, way more likely to get the right answer in the end.
But it's not just about the words you use. You can also tweak the model's settings, and yep, these are also called parameters. The most famous one, temperature. Seriously, think of it like a creativity dial. If you turn the temperature way down, the model gets really predictable and factual. It's great for summarizing your notes, but if you crank it up, it gets creative, random, even a little wild, perfect for brainstorming. All right, moving on to our third section, teaching AI new tricks. Because, a base model right out of the box is kind of a jack of all trades. The real magic happens when we turn it into a specialist. The classic way to do this is called fine-tuning. You basically take a big, powerful, pre-trained model and then give it some extra schooling on a very specific topic. You could say fine-tune it on thousands of legal documents and boom, you've got an expert legal assistant. And the best part is, new techniques are making this way more efficient, so you don't need a national lab to do it anymore. But what about brand new information? Stuff that happened like yesterday. The model wasn't trained on that. Well, that's where a brilliant technique called RAG comes in. RAG stands for retrieval-augmented generation, and the best way to think about it is giving the AI an open book test. Instead of just using its memory, you let it look up the answers in a textbook right before it has to speak. So how does that open book test actually happen behind the scenes? Well, it's a cool little dance. First, when you ask a question, the system turns your words into a kind of numerical fingerprint. We call that an embedding. Then it uses that fingerprint to search through a special library called a vector database to find the most relevant documents. Finally, it bundles those documents up with your original question and gives the whole package to the LLM so it can give you a smart answer based on fresh info.
Okay, let's get down to brass tacks in section 4, from lab to laptop. It's one thing to build these models, but how do we actually run these monsters in the real world without breaking the bank?
So anytime you're actually using a trained model, chatting with it, asking it to write something, that whole process is called inference. This is the showtime phase, where all that training finally gets put to work. And this is where speed and scale are everything. And when we're talking about performance in the real world, two words pop up all the time: latency and throughput. Latency is all about speed. How long do I have to wait for my answer? Throughput is about scale. How many people can use this thing at once without it crashing? And trust me, engineers are always trying to find the perfect balance between the two. So how do we make these models faster and smaller? One of the absolute cleverest tricks in the book is called quantization. Imagine you have a super high-resolution photo, and you save it as a slightly lower quality JPEG. It looks almost the same, but the file size is way smaller. That's kind of what quantization does to the model's brain. It makes it smaller, faster, and able to run on your phone instead of a giant data center, often with almost no drop in quality.
And that brings us to our last stop on this journey. And honestly, it's the most important one. Section 5, building responsible AI. How do we make sure these incredibly powerful tools are actually safe and, on our team?
Probably the biggest headache for anyone building with AI is a problem called hallucination. This is when the model just makes stuff up. But the tricky part is, it says it with the complete confidence of an expert, even when it's totally wrong. Like, it might spit out a sentence that says the Golden Gate Bridge was painted international orange to make it visible to migrating hummingbirds. It sounds plausible, right? It's written perfectly, but it is completely 100% false. And stopping these confident-sounding lies is a huge deal, which really highlights this constant cat and mouse game in AI safety. On one side, you have the attackers, using things like prompt injection. These are sneaky, malicious inputs designed to trick the model into breaking its own rules. And on the other side, you have the defenders, building guardrails. These are safety filters and rules designed to block that bad behavior and keep the AI on the straight and narrow. And that kind of leaves us with one last big question to chew on. We've gone all the way from a tiny token to the massive challenge of keeping AI safe. The tech is moving at an absolutely dizzying speed. So maybe the biggest question isn't just about how smart the AI is getting. It's about us. Are we getting any better at asking the right questions? Thanks for tuning in.